The most important thing about the Stonewall riots or rebellion, depending on which terminology you use, is that it creates an origin myth. It gives gay people, LGBT people, an origin myth. And all social movements need to understand and to acknowledge and identify their point of origin. And so for us, it's Stonewall. One of the things that I think this does is it gives us a kind of collective sense of identity, that we all come from, where the spirit of rebellion emerged in this place that we can identify. It's tangible. We can see it. We visited it. We visited over the weekend here at the 40th anniversary. And so it's a place we all know, even if we weren't all there. But the other flip side of that, the problem with that, is that it then makes it seem as if history is divided into everything that happened before Stonewall and everything that happened afterwards, as if history is kind of neatly divided according to this sort of point of origin. And I think one of the things that that's done, frankly, in the public imagination and in the LGBT community as it understands its history, is that it diminishes the efforts, often quiet, often invisible, often full of real struggle, of what really did happen before this kind of explosive origin of the modern gay rights movement or gay liberation. And there were decades, if not centuries, of struggles that that LGBT people, even if they weren't called lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender at the time, that they went through to establish and live lives of dignity against forces of great oppression and discrimination. And in particular, the couple of decades before the late 60s, the 40s and 50s and early 60s, was a period of great mobilization, of great organizing, of the establishment of our first newspapers and our print culture, the establishment and founding of our first bars, our political organizations, the first even public protests. There were public protests against discrimination in federal employment and in federal agencies and in the military long before the folks rose up at Stonewall in June of 1969. And so one of the things that I seek to do as a historian, and there are many historians who have written about this, John D'Amelio and George Chauncey, Estelle Friedman, many historians and scholars have written about this history, but it hasn't taken hold yet, I don't think, in the broad public imagination, not even within the LGBT community and certainly beyond it. This history is not known. One of the things that I've been talking about recently to my students and to my colleagues is that, you know, before all of the media attention around the 40th anniversary of Stonewall, that has gotten some political attention too recently with Obama inviting activists and leaders to the White House, is that, you know, if you had asked 6 months ago, if you had taken a public opinion poll of certainly young LGBT folks, I'm not sure what the percentage would be of those who would have known that Stonewall, what Stonewall was, when it happened, and that there was an anniversary. And I think that that's a troubling reality. Who knows? We haven't done that opinion poll. But my sense would be that, you know, not a considerable majority would have even known what that history is. And if you compare that, say, to African-American young folks, right, that my black students at Harvard, who all of them know what the Montgomery bus boycott was. All of them know what Brown versus Board of Education was, right? And they also know Plessy versus Ferguson, which Brown versus Board of Education overturned. And so they know their history. In fact, you would be hard-pressed to find any student at Harvard University who doesn't know what the Montgomery bus boycott was or the Brown versus Board of Education decision and the impact that it had and the origin that it created or established for the civil rights movement. And I think the LGBT movement and its scholars and its intellectuals and its activists need to do a better job of establishing that history and integrating it into the broad public imagination. And moments like the anniversary of Stonewall give us that opportunity.